seeing Carol and Honor up there. It's kind of like I looked up.
Surprise!
Two different people. It's like, what the fuck?
I was just going to say the same thing, Brett. What's going on up there? Who are they? Our new council.
Is this geometry class? Am I the only one that's nervous? Okay, good.
Just so you know, I'm going to be starting at, so we'll be live in just a few minutes.
I did just like 10 minutes ago. Really sure? Come on. Everybody else is. What's your young one? 673? Yeah, that's 4.
You might still.
673 3368.
3368.
Mr. Mayor, we're just waiting for Jason. We could just give him a moment.
We're waiting on Jason? Did I hear you say? Is Jason on the line yet?
We just resent him the link, so we're waiting for him to connect in.
Okay, let me know when we're ready.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Mayor, Jason's on. I believe we're ready.
Thank you very much. This time we'll call to order the emergency meeting of December 17th, 2020. Councilmember Burns, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready to begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Burns. We'll go to roll call.
Mayor Velazquez,
Here.
Councilmember Perez,
Here.
Councilmember Resendez,
Present.
Councilmember Spencer, Vice Mayor Spencer,
Is on mute. There you go.
Councilmember Burns,
Here.
City Manager Miller,
Present.
City Attorney Epperson,
Here.
Interim Police Chief Reynoso.
Present.
Thank you. The agenda for the City of Hollister City Council Special Emergency Meeting of December 17th, 2020 was posted on the bulletin board on December 16th, 2020 at 5 p.m. for Government Code Section 54956.5B2.
Thank you. We're going to move to item A1.
Thank you, Mayor. So, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. With the continued rise in COVID cases, approximately 200 new cases just in this week, and four deaths, which include a recent passing of a local business owner, we are presenting this urgency ordinance. This urgency ordinance is for the city to have the ability to enforce the state guidelines for the COVID-19, to allow the city to have some teeth behind our enforcement. This ordinance will allow us to enforce closure on businesses when they are supposed to be closed, or enforce the capacity requirements of a business and not maintaining the correct capacity, or enforce the gathering requirements for parties that are continuing to happen within our city limits. We will continue to use the educational approach as our first step, but so like I said, we always try to educate first and then use the fines as a second step. And as a reminder for the new council members, this is an urgency ordinance, so we will need 4 votes to allow this ordinance to pass. So, any questions from the council?
Mr. City Manager, one correction for you. It looks like we're going to hit 400 new cases this week.
Okay.
My numbers are, according to my numbers for the week, we'll know, but we're close to about 350 as of today. Is there any questions from council members? We'll go to speaker cards first then.
Actually, I have,
Councilmember Perez?
you said that there's educational process in here?
Well, if the ordinance passes, our code enforcement officer, just like our face coverings, we try to use the educational approach first, because sometimes we have visitors from outside our area that don't know about our ordinance. So for face covering, we have the code enforcement carries around a box of face coverings. So we say, just so you know that we have a face covering ordinance, it's it's $100 fine. We ask that you put on this face covering. If they choose to not put the face covering on or don't have the required exemption, the code enforcement will issue the $100 citation. The same with this case. This will be $1,000 per day ordinance, and they'll first say your business, you're supposed to, whatever the requirements are of the state guidelines, you need to follow the guidelines, and if they choose not to, then that's when a citation will be issued to the business and or individual, depending on the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Any other questions from council?
Mayor Velazquez, I do have a,
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Councilmember Burns.
thank you. City manager, first of all, can you explain to me, what has led to the need for this action, in comparison to what may have been done in the past?
The main thing is the numbers are been going up this last couple of weeks. We've had a few businesses that are been defying the state guidance, and we just, because the not following the state guidance is a misdemeanor, which we're not sure if we have the support from, if we do issue arrest in our misdemeanor, if we're going to get support from the DA's office or the enforcing realm from, like I said, the DA's office or the courts. So we feel like this is the realm to give us enforcement of those organizations that are defying the state guidance.
Prior to the city and the county and the state pretty much being back to shelter in place, essential, non-essential.
Correct.
What recently was the past actions of the city to address non-compliant businesses?
Our past practice was to enforce our face covering ordinance, which is $100 per occurrence, and that's how we would enforce it. And also when code enforcement would document it, was turned over to public health.
So now you mentioned that there were a few recent violations that you were concerned about. Are you talking a handful?
A handful.
20?
Handful.
Handful.
Yeah, for face coverings, we had individuals, we have about 15 individuals that we have cited in the last couple of weeks.
Okay, so as it relates to the enforcement of the handful, have you been to those businesses in the past and have you elicited their cooperation, and what has the response been?
In the past, they would adhere to it. Lately, it's been more that we're going to stay open no matter what.
For clarification, is there a specific type of business where you're observing and or receiving the resistance?
The most resistant has been a couple of restaurants.
Okay. Has the Hollister Downtown Association weighed in on this, or the San Benito Chamber of Commerce?
I have not heard from either one of them on this ordinance.
Were they aware that this is moving forward? And given an opportunity to respond?
Christine, they are on our mailing list, right?
I believe they are on our agenda distribution list.
Understand that we're going to enforce this. In the past, who have been the actual enforcers?
Within our code enforcement officers.
Okay, so I took the liberty in preparation for today's conversation to try and better understand the whole complexity of this issue. And so one of the things I noticed under Hollister Municipal Code 5-04.020 purpose, it says that this chapter is enacted solely to raise revenue for municipal purposes and is not intended for regulation. So how do we circumvent that element with the updated ordinance that we're proposing, the emergency ordinance that we're proposing?
Because, Jason, are you able to answer that?
Yes, I'm here.
Answer that question?
Thank you. Councilmember Burns, this would simply be an exception to that. In other words, it would be, it might apply in other directions, that particular provision of the municipal code, but this would be an exception to that. If adopted,
If adopted?
yes.
And so, assuming that we've got some resistant business owners, and the city has contacted them in the past, and they've declined to comply, and we issue them an administrative citation, what is the city's intended actions in the event they continue to operate in defiance?
Yeah, we would continue to issue the citations to the $1,000 per day. And if they continue to ignore those citations, we could pull their business license and then red tag their establishment.
A red tag the establishment as in,
Not allow them to do business at that location, because they would be doing business without a business license.
okay. City manager, this may be for the city attorney, but please excuse my ignorance. In reviewing section 1.18.030, it talks about the information required on an administrative citation, and recognizing this is not a criminal citation.
Correct.
One of the elements that is not in there is to obtain the identity of the violator. And so I'm wondering how, from an operational perspective, the city would pursue that. If our code enforcement officer or officers were to contact people and they refuse to identify, and there does not, at least from what I see, appear to be any prescriptive authority that they could compel somebody to provide their identification.
Correct. Yeah, usually the code enforcement officers ask for their identification, and or for like a business, we would have the business information from the business license.
Okay, thank you. I guess the final question I have is, I noticed in the administrative citation ordinance, again, under 1.16.010, the violation can be either a misdemeanor or an infraction. And so my sense is based on, you said $100 fine?
Correct. Well, for the face covering, it's a $100 fine. For this ordinance, it would be $1,000 per day.
So that a $1,000 fine for a closed business, or a business where you're intending to revoke their business license, $1,000 fine, would that then make that a misdemeanor violation?
I believe so. I would have to further investigate that part.
And this is Jason. I believe that's the case also, yes.
Okay. I believe that's all I have at this time. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Any other questions from council? Okay. I'm sorry, Councilmember Spencer, go ahead.
Yes. So let's be clear. It's $1,000 fine a day.
Correct. If this
So we've got businesses who are barely scraping by. They're trying to make a living. They're trying to feed their family. The city is going to fine them $1,000 a day. And then if they don't comply, we are going to not pull their license, but we're going to revoke it, which means we take the license away. They cannot get a license again. If they have a liquor license, they lose that too and cannot get it again, because people need to realize liquor licenses, especially ones with hard liquor, is a lottery. So we are going to implement, or try to implement, an ordinance to literally kill our small businesses. Because that's what we're doing, right? For lack of a better way to explain it. Councilman Burns did it perfectly. Now I'm doing it just the layman's term. This ordinance will literally kill small businesses in Hollister, the city of Hollister, right?
I would say that's incorrect.
I know you would.
Yeah, and I'll explain it if you have a second when you're done.
Okay, you explain it to me, because I've read the ordinance and I know how to read. And what you're trying to do, Ignacio, is despicable.
May I say something?
Is that Councilmember Perez?
So, city manager, how many businesses are out of compliance right now?
As of right now, we know of 0. I mean, there were a couple last week, but I believe I have heard that they are voluntarily closing right now.
Thank you. They also, and how does this pertain to large gatherings?
Well, we've been notified that there have been parties in some warehouses, and this would allow us to go in and issue citations for those gatherings.
Do we have the staff to do that?
We have 2 code enforcement officers right now, and plus if we had to use our police force to try try not to use them because they're out on other calls that we feel probably want to.
And Chief can also ask you a question. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just on mute.
Chief and also, does that take special training for the that type of enforcement?
I'm sorry, that was a little fuzzy. I believe you were directing that question to me. Is that correct?
Correct.
No, actually, no, it does to,
I would like to see Vanessa.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that was directed to Chief and also.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing the conversation. I have bad connection. Can you repeat the question?
So to enforce these violations, these gatherings are going on, is our code enforcement personnel trained for this? Is there special training? What does that look like? I mean, because we have them, and I think there's one scheduled for Saturday. So how do we? I mean, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but at the same time, I think there's many different aspects to this whole situation as far as enforcing.
Yes, Mr. Councilmember. Training, I think, would be very minimal. It's just a matter if this ordinance takes place, just issuing citations. I think the problem is going to arise that there is an increase in tensions, and we are currently investigating with our current code enforcement officer possible threats that they've already received in the past. So it is a concern for us. And as far as who's going to be enforcing it, I mean, I haven't had any discussions in regards to whether the police will be doing it or court enforcement will be doing this if it is passed.
Thank you.
Okay, was there any other question or comments? So I could make a quick comment response to what the question Councilmember Spencer had.
Actually,
I've got questions, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, how many of these face covering citations do you think we've given out roughly?
Yeah, between 15 and 20, so I don't have the exact number.
Okay, so 15 or 20. What does that look like? I'm just wondering, what does that look like when there's a report of people not wearing a face covering in public or at a bar? How does that process work typically?
Well, like I said, we usually educate first. We remind everybody that we do have a face covering ordinance. And most people put their face coverings back on, or ask code enforcement officers to carry face coverings with them to provide them if the people do not have one. But if they refuse to put those face coverings on, that's when they get issued the citation. But I kind of say, some people feel like maybe there should be more. It's kind of like the scenario of the starting to, when you see a police car, you drive nice the speed limit and really nice, and when they're out of sight, you speed back up. So that's kind of the same thing with face coverings. If they see a code enforcement officer, the face coverings go on.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, the 15 citations that have been given out since the ordinance was passed are only to people who refuse to put on masks whatsoever?
Right.
Okay, and then walk me through what it looks like when the code enforcement goes into a building that is, let's say they're serving food indoors and they've got a bar full of people with no mask. What does that scenario look like? Can you walk me through that?
You'll get the same thing. They remind them that there's a face covering requirement, and they do say that the state guidance says that you're not supposed to be serving indoors. But currently, we really don't have the way to shut them down.
So what was that last part again? I'm sorry.
We really don't have a way to shut them down.
Okay. So you said that you typically will refer that to the county, and what has the county's response been?
They have contacted ABC and Cal OSHA to refer it to them to try to help enforce those closures.
Okay, so the county is going to the state, but there hasn't been any actual other enforcement from the county, like let's say pull health permits.
Correct.
Okay.
Environmental health permits have been pulled or anything like that.
And then what could we do further? Like if the county or the state weren't, let's say, enacting these ordinances, like what could we do as a city at this point to ensure that people are abiding by the laws or the guidelines that are set forth by the state?
Well, that's why this ordinance has been brought forward.
Okay, so currently we have nothing in place to
Right.
enforce these guidelines,
Right.
or mandates, I should say.
It is a misdemeanor for not following the state guidelines, but it is a hard one to enforce.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
I've got another one. I'll use the always have imagine.
Go ahead, sir.
Where have all these, or the majority of them, are they pretty centrally located, or are they pretty much spread out? Tickets?
They were at two different locations. I think everybody knows by looking at Facebook. One was at Whiskey Creek, and the other one was at the San Benito pool.
And the
Or the groups, sorry, the two different groups.
and so the county is not enforcing any
Well, yeah, currently right now, the county does not have any ordinances, like our face covering.
do you know? I mean, okay. Well, I'll say the rest of the comments.
May I have one more question?
Councilmember Burns, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. City manager, can you tell me, I wanted to talk about two separate things here. We're talking about businesses that are not in compliance. And we're talking about individuals that have received in the past up to 15 citations for not wearing face coverings after given the opportunity and having been offered a face covering. Is that correct? Am I understand that
Yeah,
correctly?
I mean, that is two different things. Well, the face covering part of it is just more what have we done in the past. That has nothing to really do with this ordinance.
Okay, so moving forward, as it relates to the ordinance we're here to discuss tonight, if we were to take no action on this, this would not preclude the city from still issuing citations to individuals that refuse to wear face masks.
You are correct. Yes, you are correct. We can still have that ordinance in place.
Thank you, I appreciate the clarification.
So let me go back and talk about a couple of things. So what we're trying to do here is we have an issue with only a couple of businesses, and I think they have complied now. The problem has been there has been a couple of businesses that refuse to follow the state orders, the mandates of not assembling inside of a building. We had a restaurant that was having large indoor parties, indoor, not outdoor, indoor parties, refusing to comply with the state rules. We have an issue here. We have 4 people that have died this week in our community. We're going to have about 400 new cases. One of those was actually a local restaurant owner from Cozy Cup, Frank Halii. This is something we worked so hard here in the city to work with our businesses, help them. We did our downtown program as much as we could to do everything we can to help them survive. But we can have certain businesses that decide they don't need to follow the rules while others do follow the rules. We definitely cannot have businesses that decide they can have parties inside because they're making money while the others are following the rules. This spread is exploding in our community. These are the state laws. Unfortunately, we haven't had the assistance of our county to enforce any rules other than the rule we put into place with the face covers. All this is not to go around pulling licenses, is to let people know, here, look, we want to work with you. We don't want you shut down. That's the last thing we want. But we can have businesses holding large gatherings inside their buildings, ignoring the rules as these numbers spread. More people are going to die from this virus. And I can tell you right now, we're on track to start seeing a person a day start dying. We'll probably start hitting 500 in the next few weeks, and we'll start seeing more people. What we need is to make sure businesses understand that we're all in this together as a community And if we work together, we can bring these numbers back down. Nobody wants to see any business shut down. But if we're not doing something now, and people are having their parties, large parties, indoors, and we're refusing to do anything about it, well, then shame on us. We're part of this problem. Again, the great majority of businesses have been following the rules. Those that were not are now following the rules. We can do this right, but we cannot afford to play this game again in the future, back and forth. And it's a shame. And I was disappointed. I'm sure many people are that some businesses chose that tactic. But this is to make sure we start working to drive down the numbers so all those other businesses that are following the rules have a chance to get open. Because the longer this goes on, the worse it gets. And the more time that passes where these businesses cannot open while a few decide to ignore the rules. That's what we're dealing with here. And I think we've all done a good job. The code enforcement's done a good job. PD's done a good job. But without the tools, we're going to keep facing these issues. There are people encouraging others to not wear face covers, go to certain locations, and just ignore the rules. Do we really want to keep going down this path? And unfortunately, that's why we're here today. Something has to change, or we're going to see more and more people dying from this virus and us not doing anything about it. And that's a shame, but we're going to get through this as a community. But the first step is make sure we all of us work as partners on this. And again, this is not an attack to try to shut down businesses at all. And the process, the way it works, somebody made the comment about ABC pulling your license. Look, if for some reason they go to the point of having to have the license pulled, ABC suspends the license. It doesn't pull it, doesn't go back to the lottery. We have to do this right, and we have to do it together. We can't afford to ignore this problem and get to the point of 500-600 people a week getting sick and 2 people dying a day or 10 people dying a week. Enough is enough. We're in a situation here. We need to work together. Hopefully we can get our partners at the county to implement some of these rules, because this is where it starts. The state mandates it. It goes through the county. The county health department should have been enforcing these rules. Unfortunately, they weren't. And now we're stuck as a city trying to enforce rules that should have been done by the county. So we need to move forward here and do this right, protect our businesses and protect our citizens. That's all we're trying to do. This is not something to shut down businesses. And I know a lot of people are trying to spread those rumors, which is completely false. And it's a shame that that's even happening. This is about education and making sure we're working together. All right, do we have speaker cards?
Yes, Mr. Miller?
Go ahead.
We have a list of people from outside that aren't able to come in. And I don't want to really boot anybody out of the chambers because we have our 13-seat capacity filled. So if it's all right with you, I'd like to go ahead and call the speaker cards first and let them bring in the speakers to have their 3 minutes and then maybe have them go back out again.
Yeah, Christy, we're gonna have them, once they're done speaking, we're gonna have them go out the side door.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Thank you.
My first speaker is Roxy Montana. I think that's in, yeah, that's in here. That's in here too.
Chief, they're in here.
Chief, this one's inside. Dr. Dickory, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Our community needs every single small business that we have. And I urge all of you to be as supportive as possible in order to keep these small businesses. Without them, we're just going to become a mall of big boxes. And again, we have a high survivability rate. Nobody's forcing these people to go into business. Not all people working in small business have the ability to work out of their homes. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, and thank you for your attention to this matter. You already have a vehicle. In order to give these citations, please don't take away what we already have and build on it. Thank you. Raul Escarino.
Chief, can you see if Raul is available?
I'll hold that one and I'll hold it. Oh, I got him. I think. That's okay, I'll take a speaker. Courtney Evans? Courtney, go ahead. You're still muted. Courtney Evans, please unmute yourself and go ahead and speak.
Actually, people are hearing what he's saying. Hi, can you hear me?
You can, please go ahead.
My name is Courtney Evans, and I am standing out here with San Benito County residents, and we are not stopping. Our affidavit that we will file with you is the second part of our process, and it is sent to every single one of you, every single one of our county, city employees, and this is our...
You're muted. They're saying you're muted.
I'm not muted.
We can hear you.
Yeah, they're calling for you.
They want you inside? I'm not, I'll come inside, but I'm not wearing my mask.
Courtney, we can hear you. Continue.
Perfect. Our affidavit is completely truthful as we attest based.
Wait. They have it recorded, what you just said.
Yeah, it's going.
It's okay. Our affidavit is completely truthful as we attest based only in truth, fact, valid law, and evidence. It consists of 3 basic parts. We notify that the recipients, when they get our affidavit, that we've made specific claims and charges in which you have not followed the law. With completion and sending of our affidavit, you will have 10 days to respond. We are not stopping. This cannot pass. We are Americans. You cannot take our freedoms. You cannot tell us how to run our businesses, and you cannot pull our licenses. Stop with the tyranny. Stop with trying to control and lie to people. Roland, you said this was law at least 5 or 6 times. It's not a law. It's guidance. Stop lying. Stop threatening our businesses and stop harassing our people. Where are you tonight? You didn't show up in your face. Neither did you, Mayor. Where are you guys? Are you guys in rooms next to each other? We don't know because you're hiding from the people. Show up.
Thank you, Courtney. Raul Escarino.
Good evening, council members that showed up. We appreciate that. That's what means a lot, small business owners. You know, it's been tough for us these last couple of months, tougher than any, you know, and it's just, we're trying to make ends meet. I know there's certain guidelines that they're trying to force, or they're trying to make us do, but that's not enough. You know what I mean? Like, that's not help, like, at all. I've spoken to a couple of different business owners. Sabritas told me today they closed down last week because they got nothing. He said, "Oh, I threw away all my food. I threw away a lot of things." We know Country Roses closed down 2 days a week. That should tell us something. You know, we need to stand together as a community to be united. It's not about me. It's not about them. It's about us as a community. So I ask that you guys in your hearts vote against this thing you're trying to do about revoking our licenses and just let us do our thing. You know, if you ask me what makes a grocery store different than a restaurant, you know, it's still out there. You know, it still has the same type of effect, but yet we're allowed to go visit these big corporations and yet small businesses like mine. Sayonara, sucker, bring in the big boys. That's how we feel. You know, and it's like, I'm standing up for our community. I'm standing up for all those people that have kids like mine. We're out there right now, 3 years old, 1.5-year-old, to just prove a point that, hey, we can be homeless. Because they decided to give $4.2 million to the new area that they're trying to build for supposedly future jobs. That's what I read. I don't know if it was wrong where I read it, right? That's where I read it. And so what about current jobs? Why not give me love? I'm not downtown. I didn't get no outdoor patio. I didn't get no love from anybody. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to all the others around. So it's like, if you're not downtown, forget about you. Good luck. Don't worry, you guys have enough supporters to make it by. We appreciate everybody's support. We appreciate the people that do support us. But sometimes that's not enough. You know what I mean? So we're hoping that you guys do what's right for the community and listen to us. We're out there yelling. We're on Facebook yelling. I'm not saying COVID isn't real. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. But if I'm to take my chances between COVID and being homeless, I'd rather take my chances with COVID. Because I can't afford to be homeless. I can't be homeless. I can't put 2 kids to sleep in a car. And not just that, every other family that works for me and their kids, you're telling me to tell them, hey, kick rocks. That's it. We're giving up. So just let us do our thing. And I know people are going to be responsible enough to do it correctly. If you tell us, just make sure they wear masks, they'll wear masks. If you say clean up and wipe up, that's what we do. We'll be doing everything to protocol. So to me, say yes today, no tomorrow, it's not helpful. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
Heather Lopez? Heather Lopez? Heather Lopez, please unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
You can, go ahead.
Okay. Speaking as a COVID survivor, my entire family, and somebody who supports every small business in this town and all these people struggling for going on almost a year now to survive, I fully do not agree with this ordinance. I support the small businesses in this town. I heard what the gentleman just said about being homeless and taking a chance with COVID, with a disease that has, I don't know what it is, a 99.8% survival rate. I don't blame him. Yes, COVID is scary, and I can tell you it's real. But it is not worth doing this town what you are going to do. This state is currently being run by dictators and morons. And I ask the city council to please don't act like them. Don't act like them. You have a choice to make about this tiny, sweet town, about the people who basically give you your job. You should be out supporting them in every single way possible, in every single way. And I would have you know that my husband, Rock Home Flat, brought it from his place of business where they have every single solitary mandate in place. And even with every single mandate, people still got COVID in that office. So it doesn't matter a lot of times how strict you are about the rules. It's still happening. You can't stop a virus. It's impossible. It's impossible. And what you're going to do now, because when you let that genie out of the box, that power, and potentially turning in these people, and they potentially losing their business licenses, that would be an effect that goes on and on and on and on and on in this town. Look at the state. Look at the number of people that move. Look at the number of mass businesses, including Tesla, that have left. They're leaving. They're taking their tax dollars and going somewhere else. Please, listen to the people of this county. Listen to the people of this town. They don't want this. They don't want people dying and they don't want people sick. Certainly, but they don't want this. You don't need that kind of power over these people. You don't. This next coming year will bring brighter days and vaccines and herd immunity, and all of this will someday be in the past. Soon. We're in the final stretch. But if you
Amber Henderson?
I came today in person because I feel that it's very important to,
I'm sorry, can you please put your face cover back on?
so just to be clear, I haven't,
We need to have the face cover on.
It's the protection of our employees. It's the power. I understand. Face shield, I understand, but we have to protect our employees.
We need that face cover. We have staff in here. We need to make sure they're safe. This is the issue we're talking about, folks. We need to make sure people are safe.
Hi,
Please put the face cover on.
this is my time.
Yes, put the face cover on.
So I spoke to the officer just before I came in. He assured me that I can speak if I was having problems. The assumptions that go on someone not wearing a mask, you know, I'm at risk, I'm in that category. And then, you know, I've come here to speak and get this reception. I understand, you know, I've been there with the mask, and I apologize. I am much farther than 6 feet away from anyone in this room. So the minute that I have left here, I want you to know that last night, while reading the verbiage in this ordinance that you're voting on today, I see so many holes in it. In some sections, it reads very clearly that you're voting to give this yourself carte blanche without offering these businesses due process. I ask you, please, especially now, trust your constituents to be wise, that they are wise, that they will and do what is best for their family. Allow them to do that. Show some mercy. Vote no on this, please. Thank you. Jo Brigantino.
Hello, thank you for unmuting me.
Welcome.
I want to thank Heather Lopez, the survivor. You're 100% correct. You cannot stop this virus. Do you guys all remember when downtown was dead and when businesses failed left and right? Probably not, because the vault's been closed for how many years now? We've now seen businesses stay in business longer than ever in the last few years. And I'm proud to finally walk down my downtown and walk into multiple businesses throughout the night or day. Ignacio, you have done nothing to help our local businesses survive, yet you stand there and speak out like you have. You spend your time asking the public what color the lettering should be on a Hollister sign downtown. Are you kidding me? Why don't you spend your time and ask each and every local business owner what they need from you right now? What they need is to feed their families like you can still. How dare you even say this has affected your business, the vault? Well, the hell, like I said, when's the last time that's been open? You make plenty of money off your solar company that's associated with new homes like you live in. You make your money off our tax dollars. You're a disgrace to our city, and you're a complete hypocrite. And I truly hope when you go home, you're not proud of yourself. I hope you never think or believe that you're actually helping our city. You are drowning our city and you're killing our businesses. You're killing them. So let's talk about all the businesses that are already closing down right now for good, that already have. The vault, I'd love to see if that one failed, but no, you're totally fine. You're making plenty of money, Ignacio. So you care about these businesses, then stand up and stand up for our businesses. You don't need to be a little puppet for our governor. And I need you to actually be a leader that you have failed the community so far. So let's see what you can do. You need to not pass this ordinance by one, or for starters. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Alderman Phillips?
Good evening, gentlemen, and good evening, everyone who is watching right now. Good evening, gentlemen, and good evening, everyone who's watching right now. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Hispanic community and those minorities that are here illegally and they own businesses. A lot of them, they're suffering, their businesses are closed, and because of their legal status, they cannot apply for any of the reliefs. So not only they have to close their businesses, they have to continue paying their business rent and worrying about whether they're going to be able to open again or whether how this is going to affect. They're not going to be able to provide and bring food to the table. A lot of them are single mothers, and some of them they're barely making it. Because like I said, the minorities, they're always affected. They don't make that much. So I'm here, gentlemen, to ask you to consider this. You know, when we're running for office, you always say, oh, we care for the Hispanics, especially Ignacio. He's always done the Hispanic community. And right now, it's very disappointing to see what is happening. Due to the fact that this meeting was called as an emergency meeting. Let's get together. It's an emergency. Let's shut down the businesses. Let's just be fine. This is so despicable. This is so disappointing. I'm just asking you guys to remember the promises. This to me is scary because where I come from, this is exactly how the cartels act, by intimidation. Do this or else. These are not times to react in this way towards the people who stay in their salaries. It's the taxpayers' money. It's the small business taxes, whether they're legal or illegal. Gentlemen, you're here to represent both sides. So I'm here to ask you to do the right thing. Thank you.
Jennifer Kelly? Jennifer Kelly?
Hello, that's me, Jennifer Kelly. Hello.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to first ask how many of the council members are getting their payroll from their businesses? Are any of you not getting your payroll?
Council, this is Jason Epperson. I would just point out that this is a time for public comment and not for questions and answers between the council and the community.
Okay. I'm going to assume that each one of you is getting your payroll checks and you're sitting in that room deciding which people are expendable and which people do not need their businesses, which people do not need their payroll checks. And that's not okay, because if you're getting a payroll check, you should not be making those decisions for other people. Next, this pulling the business licenses. I would like to see data that says that these businesses that have been shut down are where the spread is coming. The mayor and Mark Medina have both commented that it is from private gatherings or from gatherings. So I want to see the evidence. I want statistics. I'm sure you have statistics somewhere. I want them released to the public so that we can see that what you're doing is actually going to lower our COVID numbers substantially, because you both have said that most of the spread is from gatherings. Most is more than anywhere else, but yet you shut restaurants, gyms, salons. That's not okay. So unless you can prove that these places are the places that are causing the spread, that's not okay. I want to see the data. You will not release the data. I've asked for it. Everybody on Facebook has asked for it. It's not been released. I want to see the data that shows that this is going to help us reduce the majority of cases, because I don't believe it is. So I would like to see the data. I would like you to all question yourselves if you think it's okay that you can shut down these businesses. Every business is open. There's so many businesses open, but you've selected a small number of businesses, and it's probably because you have some statistics that you're okay with. Now, Gavin Newsom says he's got the same statistics that say, okay, we're going to lose this many businesses, and he's okay with that. This is a small community. You all know these people. You live in the same community with these people, and you're okay with those statistics of letting businesses fail? That's not okay. I want you to reconsider this. It is not okay to remove business licenses. This whole lockdown is not okay. I'm finished.
Thank you. Stephanie Castro.
Thank you. I'm here to speak on behalf of businesses as well as churches. There was a recent decision that the Supreme Court decided for injunction relief for a church, and they essentially equated churches with small businesses. And this is what Justice Kavanaugh wrote. I would grant the church requested temporary injunction because California's latest safety guidelines discriminates against places of worship in favorable of secular businesses. Discrimination violates the First Amendment. In response to the COVID health crisis, California has now limited attendance at religious worship services. The basic constitutional problem is that comparable secular businesses are not subject to the 25% occupancy cap, including factories, offices, supermarkets, restaurants, retail stores, pharmacies, shopping malls, pet grooming shops, bookstores, boards, etc. Importantly, the church is willing to abide by the state's rules and that apply to comparable secular businesses, including the rules regarding social distancing and hygiene. Therefore, if churches are agreeing to abide by these rules of social distancing and hygiene, and they're equated with small businesses can do the same thing. And it should not be imposed on one or the other, small business or churches. He went on to say, in my view, California's discrimination against religious worship services contravenes the Constitution. As a general matter, the government may not use religion as a basis of classification for the imposition of duties, penalties, privileges, or benefits. This court has also stated that discriminating against religion is odious to our Constitution. Again, they are equating churches with businesses. It's discriminatory. He went on to say, to justify its discriminatory treatment of religious worship services, California must show that its rules are justified by a compelling government interest and narrowly tailored to advance that interest. California undoubtedly has a compelling interest in combating the spread of COVID-19 and protecting the health of its citizens. But restrictions inexplicably applied to one group and exempted from another do little to further these goals and do much to burden religious freedom. It can also be equated with it will burden small businesses as well. What California needs is a compelling justification for distinguishing between religious worship services and the litany of other secular businesses that are not subject to occupancy cap. California has not shown that justification.
Thank you. Marcy Houston. Marcy, go ahead.
Wait. Whoa, Derek. Oh, wait, I gotta go. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay, I'm here.
We can hear you, Marcy. Go ahead.
So I told myself and everybody else I wasn't going to do this, but now I'm doing it. And I'm a small business owner and I have been for probably 20 years. And the way to support small business is to actually spend money there. So for all these people who are saying any kind of ordinance or any kind of whatever law or whatever you want to call it is going to shut down small business is bullshit. And I have no filter, so you can beat me out. If you really want to support the small businesses, you want to spend money there. And I kind of did some mental calculations. There's probably, I don't know, 40,000 people here, 10,000 households. I don't know if those are right. If everybody just freaking came into my store and spent $10, the price of a number one at McDonald's, which is actually $10.47, I'd be out of inventory. So everybody, including the city council people who are spouting off that this ordinance is going to shut down small business or the mayor is going to shut down small business, is bull beep. If you really want to support your small businesses, you need to spend money there. And every single small businesses, restaurant, bar, boutique store, you name it, can not necessarily benefit from this situation, but stay alive. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'm really effing beep sick and tired of people using small business in air quotes as the reason for your rights and all that other bull beep. It's just not true. You want to support the small businesses, you freaking walk in the door, you pull out a credit card and you buy. In my store, you can literally buy anything, even organic men's deodorant or a beer. Hey, what about that? I've done $32 today. Am I whining? No, I'm angry. I'm angry because the realtors, the gyms, all these other people who are spouting off about their rights and all this other bull beep have not been in here. And they haven't been in the other little small stores downtown. They want to go to Target. They want to shop on Amazon. They want to go to Home Depot. They want to do all this other convenient stuff and then use somebody like me as a reason to promote their political point. So, yep, I'm pretty much done. There's a virus out there. And no, you're not going to walk in my store without a mask. I'll send you down the dog ramp.
Marcy.
And I have one.
Thank you, Marcy. Christine Oates. Christina Hope. Melissa Gong.
Hello. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak at tonight's emergency council meeting. I first want to start by offering condolences to the Hallier family and thanking Frank Hallier for the contributions that he made to the Hollister community in his over 30 years of business. I'd like to also say I'm a registered nurse and I work in San Benito County and I work in Santa Clara County. I need to call out by name the disrespect of Council Member Honor Spencer, Courtney Evans, owner of Kamal Yoga, and Carly Jo Brigantino, a realtor who has not been closed down at all during the shelter-in-place order. You need to dignify Mayor Velazquez with the title in which he was elected and sworn into office to hold. He is not Ignacio to you. You're not on a first name basis with him. He is the mayor of the city of Hollister, and have some damn respect. I'd also like to say that Hazel Hawkins Hospital, as of Tuesday, was at 130% capacity. We are a critical access hospital with 25 beds. COVID is not the only thing that Hazel Hawkins Hospital can treat. People are still getting into car accidents. There is still sepsis. There is still heart attacks. There are still aneurysms. And those patients can't be treated because they're at capacity with COVID patients. And Hazel Hawkins Hospital does not have the luxury right now of transferring critical patients to Monterey and Santa Clara County, because Santa Clara County hospitals are reaching capacity and Monterey County hospitals are reaching capacity. We need to be mindful of the fact that there is a deadly airborne transmitted virus that is circulating around. And if I hear one more person say it is a 98% survival rate, how disrespectful can you be to the 23 people in our community who lost their battle to COVID-19? They didn't have a 98% survival rate. They had a 0% survival rate, and their families are left picking up the pieces because of selfish, self-centered, entitled anti-maskers who refuse to do what's being asked. John Corredes, who owns Payne's Restaurant, is drinking maskless on the patio with his customers. He deserves to have his business shut down. He's completely flouting health guidance and health guidelines. We need to have enforcement behind the health order. Otherwise, this virus is going to go out of control even further than it already is. And we are going to lose more people in this community than we already have. And just for some statistics, 12% of COVID positive patients require acute hospital care within 2 weeks of diagnoses. If we have 400 cases of COVID-19 this week, that is 48 people who are going to be forced to seek critical hospital care. How exactly do you expect that care to be provided with 25 beds in our community hospital? Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Christina Hall or Michael?
Yep. Michael Hogue, pastor in town here in Hollister. Thank you for your leadership and for your willingness to be here. Rick, welcome to City Council. Hope you're having a good time. Just as trying to bring a different perspective, as a pastor, spend a lot of time in homes, outside of homes, visiting with people, providing care, emotional, spiritual, psychological care. Biggest burden for pastors right now is talking people off the bridge, quite honestly, talking people through feelings of despair, panic. We have a lot of people that are acting irrationally, people that are just really on the fringe. My wife and I, before we moved to Hollister, lived in New Orleans. We were there for Katrina. We went through the whole upheaval of a whole entire city. We know what it's like to live in an area where people are feeling things out of control. This is very similar in a lot of ways. And the thing that you can do as a government is not have a special meeting. I don't know how else to say it, but not to call a special meeting for the sake of imposing a new type of fine or a new type of restriction. It divides the community. I know you're trying to do your best. I totally understand that. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes, but it causes an us and them mentality. And what I would encourage you to do is consider ways to get creative in terms of what else can we be doing. Questions that come to my mind are, and I'm sure it's been asked already, I haven't been listening, but how much, what kind of statistics are there to show how many infections are coming up from dining outside? As a city, we've invested tens of thousands of dollars on the parklets. Great idea. Is there a possibility of investing a little bit more to make the parklets even safer? Put up plexiglass. Yeah, it might be a call to get creative and go against the guidelines of the state, But you know as well as I do, there are other counties that are doing that across California for the sake, hopefully, of their people, because they believe that's the right thing to do. And so I want to encourage you to call a special meeting, not to consider new fines or new ways to control, because that's what you're trying to do, right? And I get it. You think you're for the sake of health. I understand. I don't know what the statistics are still, but I understand the motivation, I think. But rather than calling it a special meeting for that, how about a special meeting to just add just a brainstorm? How can we get creative to save these local businesses and become beside business owners rather than tighten the screws and try to bring control? Again, I don't question your motivation. I don't think bad at all. I really appreciate you, leading at a time like this. But I mean, you step outside or whatever. I'm sure you get a sense that this is not really bringing this is not a beneficial conversation for the community at this time, quite honestly. And so I just want to encourage you with those words, and yeah, that's about it.
Kevin Henderson?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, can hear you.
Thank you. To the new council members on the dais, you cannot be heard on Zoom very well. You should be very concerned about that and check to make sure you're being understood when you speak. First off, I'm going to point out, Mr. Mayor, we all saw what you did harassing my wife, who is exempt from wearing a mask, and we know why you did it. Shame on you. You're acting like a bully. I'm sure some of you were hoping to not be hearing from the public today, as this emergency meeting was just announced yesterday to be held at a time when a lot of folks are still working at their jobs, if they are lucky enough to still have a job. I want to point out some problems with this proposed ordinance and why you should not vote for it. First, the way this is being sprung on the community in this sudden manner is just wrong. The city council just met 3 days ago. The city council just met 3 days ago and nobody could bother mentioning this ordinance was in the works. This looks like an attempt to slip something under the radar. The headline in the agenda does not tell the full story. It reads, an urgency ordinance of the city of Hollister to define grounds for revocation of a business license for failure to adhere to state COVID orders. On the surface, it sounds like this is just about businesses, but if you read the ordinance, it is clear that individuals gathering in homes, not businesses, can also be cited. How exactly is that going to work? Are we going to have neighbors snitching on neighbors and then having our city code enforcement come out and see who's in our homes? Second, using the California Regional Stay-at-Home Order as criteria for Hollister's own city ordinance is just lazy legislation. No financial impact, really? Who ran that analysis? How can putting people out of business not have any financial impact to the city? The text on the regional stay-at-home orders have not even been included in today's agenda packet. How do we even know exactly what is being voted on here? And if it can be read and cited during meeting from the agenda packet? If you go and read the California Regional Stay-at-Home Order, you will see it is written by just one person who strangely refers to herself in the first person several times. Kind of ominous and creepy that so much power has been given to one unpaid bureaucrat. In a recent KSBW news story about Payne's Restaurant, our city manager, Brent Miller, said, quote, the city is autonomous to the state and county. If the city of Hollister is autonomous to the state and county, then why is the city going to such lengths to follow the state? If anything should be done regarding public health, it should be handled by the county, not the city. Third, it does not accomplish the intended goal of stopping the spread of COVID. This is taking a sledgehammer to a surgery when a scalpel is needed. We just listened to staff introduce this ordinance, providing no evidence of significant COVID spread happening in businesses. Why is it the default assumption that the reason we have COVID increase?
Thank you, Kevin. Christina Ho?
I'd just like to briefly share my sentiments. We're involved in a church where we have some business owners that are directly being affected by the decisions made. And I understand that there isn't necessarily law involved, it's more mandate involved. And so I would like to ask you all to consider what kinds of bridges we might be able to build this time. What we're noting are people that are experiencing great depression, and the despondency is almost more than I can bear. We are able to help in certain ways, but we aren't able to restore a business for some of these people. So we'd just like to encourage great discussion amongst yourselves before any decisions are made. I would ask you to think about ways to build bridges. You know, we in this time we've watched and observed so much creativity. We've just been forced to that place as a community, really as a nation, as a world. And so I'm convinced that you all can put your minds and your hearts and thoughts together and come up with some really creative solutions for our small community of college here. I really appreciate that kind of mindset being implemented in a time like this. Thank you.
Hunter Cunha. Hunter Cunha, please go ahead. Hunter? Please go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
Okay, so we have a problem here with a virus and it's not going away. So out of frustration and anger, you guys are going to scapegoat our small local businesses and punish them for something that they aren't responsible for spreading. You want to feel like you're doing something, so you're picking on easy targets, small businesses, along with churches and school children, I'll add. Even according to your own cult of science, there's been nothing that shows these outbreaks are coming from restaurants or hair salons or any of these small businesses. In fact, Mr. Mayor, just a few months ago, you were out protesting with these salon owners because you were claiming they could operate and that the state should let them work. Now tonight, you support an ordinance that would strip these same salon owners of their business licenses, punishing them. Why the change of heart? I remember Target being linked to a spread of cases, but you wouldn't pick on them, I noticed. You guys are going to sacrifice small businesses, threatening the people who pay the wages of those in the public sector. Remember that. Without them, there is no public sector. Everyone who works for the public sector, you collect a paycheck because of business owners and their employees. Follow the science, we hear. There's no science behind lockdowns. Come on. What year in med school did all these health officers study the science of lockdowns and their effects? It's BS. You want to follow the science. The science says 80% of our positive cases are within the Latino population. Should we lock down all Latinos and start citing them when they leave their house? Because that's where the science would lead us. The science says they're coming from household gatherings. Are we going door to door, stripping property rights from homeowners who are hosting the company? You're going to follow the science straight to hell. The thing is, with all this, there's many of us, we're not asking for anything. We are not asking for anyone to go anywhere or to put something on their face. We're not asking for anything but to be left alone. During all this time, the solution has been simple. If you are in fear and at high risk of disease, you have underlying conditions, and I understand that some of you are living unhealthy lifestyles. You've made a lot of bad choices and you're scared. If you have loved ones who are going in public, then stay away from them too. You have the freedom to stay home in a padded room, nice and sanitized, live out your dream there. Good luck with that. Stick your arm with all these vaccines coming out. Knock yourself out. You have that freedom. So stop being selfish and insisting on destroying the lives of others because you aren't willing to stay in your homes. But don't take out your fear and anger on small businesses by passing this ordinance. Thank you.
Dr. Corporation. Good evening. I have spoken a number of times, and what just disappoints me is that no matter how many times I speak, clearly I do not get an answer from council members. I know some of you are new, so this doesn't apply to you, but to the rest, it is sad that we do not get answers back, that the communication is not there. But that aside, I am speaking, asking you to think it through. The next step, the long-term plan, because it feels really short-sighted to shut down businesses, to fine them, to close people in their homes. And yet we've been doing this for 10 months. It's not getting better. So at what point would you say that this system is not going to work? At what point? And I think what many people misunderstand about the people standing outside is that we all understand that this is a deadly virus. And when people cite that it's not as deadly as smallpox or it's not as deadly as Ebola, what we are saying is we get it. It is deadly. We want to mitigate, but not eliminate life. I have spoken with small business owners, and I don't see how they're expected to survive. They're not being supported by the community, the city council, the county. They have to be able to survive. And we've seen several businesses close already. And what really scares me is to hear and to have listened to what the mayor says, that he believes, according to the data, which I believe, many of these cases are coming from home gatherings, which means that the very next step would logically be that you're going to have police knocking on doors saying that if I've had my mother over to see her, because she may actually die from this virus, she is in danger. If I have her over to see her at all in the next 18 months, that I could be cited and fined in my own home. That is not reasonable. Is that really where we want to go? Thank you.
Jack Noon. Jack, go ahead and speak.
Yes, hi. Thank you for taking my calls and giving me a chance to express my comments. My name is Father Dat. I'm a priest at Sacred Heart St. Benedict Church. And I thank Councilwoman Spencer for her opinions, and you're very articulate and care for all the people in our community. And I think that Mayor Ignacio is doing everything he can to find a solution. But I think this ordinance is not the way going forward, because I believe that all the businesses in our little town need all the support they can get. And this is the last thing they wanted to have to worry about, is the enforcement and all these things. So I hope that Councilwoman Spencer, Councilman Besendis, Councilman Burns, and Councilman Perez to do the right thing. And I don't think this is the right way to go forward, because I want to care for the spiritual health of our people. At the same time, if they not be able to make their living and they're not being safe, and they're gonna come to me for things that I cannot offer, because I cannot offer them a job. They need to work. So so I don't know what what's the best way to going forward. But what I do know is this: I am very doubtful that this ordinance would be able to stop one single case from happening. But what I do know is this: it will threaten our businesses, and especially those who work in there, not only the owners who might, have a different agenda, whatever, but please think about this and try to give our businesses some break during this time, and because they're trying to do the right thing, and they have spent so much, and they have make so much sacrifices. And that's all I want to say. So thank you, Councilwoman Spencer, for your opinion, and be very supportive and of our community. And I have all sent you a message on Facebook, so I hope that you get a chance to read that. But thank you.
Thank you. Monica Cross. And thank you to everybody for your patience. We've got a lot of speakers tonight.
Thank you for inviting the community to come and speak. I wish I could be so eloquent as some of the others who came before me. I get so nervous. First of all, I find it very disturbing that we would call such a meeting as important as this at this time of day. And first of all, I mean, okay, so we're calling a meeting this important that has such drastic implications. Last minute, we don't even have all the details of what you're talking about with this ordinance. We're asking questions of how do we implement that? Well, we actually have to go around the law in order to do that. That's scary. That should frighten every single one of you, that we would use a virus that has a 0.0003% death rate in our community to take these kinds of drastic measures. We can all agree also that there are exemptions to the mask wearing. They are stated on the CDC website. You are not allowing your own citizens that exemption that they are absolutely rightfully given. There's no, it's across the board for everybody. Nothing works that way. You cannot write a policy like this without taking people's medical conditions into consideration. So you're saying, okay, well, those people can stay home. Those healthy individuals can stay home while the people who are actually likely to be infected with this virus, we're going to make all the exceptions, all of the arrangements so that they can go out. But people who actually have a medical condition and can't wear this, they can't. It is imperative that we realize you don't have the power currently to make a decision like this. There's a reason for that. It's too much power. It's affecting businesses who are complying as much as they can. They have walked through fire to meet your requests, your recommendations, your requirements, and now we're going to bring this to them right before Christmas? I can't consciously conceive how you would do that. This is a knee-jerk reaction. It's a knee-jerk reaction that we've actually had 10, 11 months to plan for because we knew that it was going to be a resurgence at this time of year. We knew that. I hope that you'll reconsider that you will not implement this ordinance.
Thank you, Madam. Jessica Dutra. Jessica, go ahead.
Jessica? Can you hear me? I'm sorry, there's a lot of background noise. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I went to Safeway today and it was super busy and yet allowed to keep its doors open. It's a very sad day when our own local small businesses are being persecuted and fighting for their rights to earn a living and have a business. There are large gatherings every day at Target and Safeway, and yet their doors have always remained open, as they should. All I hear is big government trying to control others. Our forefathers must be rolling in their graves. We cannot let all of our rights and liberties go away in the name of safety. People should be able to weigh the options and take the risks that they want to. This has gone on for months and there is no end in sight. Governor Newsom continually says we're trying to slow the spread. A virus does not stop spreading. It will just keep going slowly. So we're just carrying this on. To tell businesses that if they just do something for 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks or 4 more weeks, then everything will be better is a joke. We're in month 9. We've been listening to that for almost a year now. I can go into Safeway, but I cannot go to church. That's absolutely ridiculous. On Sunday, I could actually go shopping at Boot Barn, but I cannot go to St. Benedict's Church and worship the Lord. That is absolutely disgusting. We live in America and it doesn't even seem like it. This is absurd. I pray that you let people decide what's best for their lives. Governor Newsom, California, and New York are a joke nationwide. They're like little dictators. Stand up and do the American things. It sounds like what we need is to support our healthcare based on what the nurse's testimony was earlier. We should be supporting our hospitals so that they can provide appropriate healthcare for those that are suffering from COVID and getting sick, and not taking away more rights away from people and businesses. We can let people survive with COVID as well as businesses survive and thrive. One should not depend on the other. We shouldn't be closing one for the other. Lastly, the masks that most people are wearing don't stop the spread of this virus. We all know that. If I put a little piece of cloth covering my nose, I might be allowed to go into Safeway, but it's not stopping the spread of anything. You need a serious type of mask to stop the spread of viruses. The doctor at the hospital told me that. So we should stop belittling people and embarrassing people for saying they don't want to wear a mask. It's ridiculous. I pray that you guys make the right decision for this people of Hollister, for California, and for our great country. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel Lakia?
Hello, I'm Rachel Lakia, and I'm a resident of Hollister. I'm here just to urge you to vote no on this unlawful ordinance, along with everyone standing outside, most everyone who called in, I think all but two. You guys work for us. We're the people. We the people, and you're supposed to vote on behalf of us. So we're urging you to vote no on this unlawful ordinance. It's just absolutely ridiculous to want to punish people who are trying to feed their families, who are trying to support their families by keeping their businesses open. They want to work hard and do their jobs. We need you guys to do your jobs and honor what the people are asking for. Please don't punish people for wanting to keep their businesses open. And while it's the time, I'll also complain. My basketball hoop is still closed. My 10-year-old son just wants to play basketball. There's a chain on the basketball hoop. He can't throw his ball in there. It's done. My 2-year-old son is in speech therapy. He's not allowed to meet with his speech therapist in person. That's not right. Children need to, have access in person to therapy and whatever services they need. So I just urge you guys to please do the right thing and vote no on this unlawful ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Cody Dalton?
Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Cody, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Cody Dalton. I am not a small business owner. And to most, that may seem as though I'm only concerned about where I will go and eat dinner tonight, get my hair cut, or purchase Christmas gifts. And who cares about small businesses, right? We can easily Instacart, go on Amazon, and I don't need to leave the house, so who cares about my hair? But I see these businesses as more than just a name on a receipt. I see my friends who work for them. I see Brianna Russell at Payne's, who relies on our tips to pay her bills. Gina and Kat at Johnny's Bar. Sergio and Cherish at the Ale House. My friend Haley Dickerson, who just achieved a lifelong goal of opening her very own salon only to be shut down days after opening. Kat Farong and Danette Hayhurst at Country Rose, who rely on their jobs to provide for their kids. Mr. Mayor and council members, it was just a few weeks ago that you all stood in front of us at the ribbon cutting, praising these businesses for being the heart of our community. Since then, they have been asked to shut down and are now facing the revocation of their business license if they choose to serve our community. When we, the community, have asked them to stay open so that we can support them at our own will and risk. If you drive downtown right now, it's an empty shell. Beautiful parklets not being enjoyed and a lonely Hollister sign. Downtown once housed the businesses who created our culture, but we will soon lose that amazing culture that makes Hollister what it is today. Amazon may know what brands you like based on what you said to your Alexa earlier this week, but they will not know what your order by heart or care to ask how your family is doing in these crazy times. Jeff Bezos will not sponsor your kids' sports team, but Valerie Snedden at Vintage Pearl or Pete at Johnny's Bar will. With that said, I would like to leave you all with a few lyrics from Maren Morris's newest song. When life turns this moment to dust, I hope that I am proud of the woman that I was. When lines of tomorrow are drawn, can I live with the side that I chose to be on? Will we sit on our hands, do nothing about it, or will we leave this world better than we found it? Honor, I hope that you think of the kids that you watched grow up, that work or own businesses here when you vote tonight. Roland, I hope that you think of the businesses that supported you and Joel's paint nights when they were open. Rick Perez and Tim Burns, I hope that you look at the division and despair that the mayor has caused with this agenda and take the opportunity to leave Hollister a little bit better than you found it today. Mayor, please use our tax dollars to help fund our hospital and get more beds for those affected by the virus instead of drama. Please vote no against this heartless ordinance. Thank you.
J.W. Payne.
I'm a little tired, so I'm gonna make this really quick. I leave my house at 2 o'clock in the morning to drive out to San Jose, California to work. I am, I guess, a central worker because I'm a truck driver. And I go into all these different businesses in San Jose, Campbell, Monterey, and also San Benito County. You are hurting more people by closing it down. Now, ma'am, why don't you look at me over here? I'll look at the camera, look at me. Yeah, you're in District 3. I'm coming after you now, ma'am. This is a petition to get rid of our governor. If you come on Saturday, you can sign it to get rid of the student. On Saturday, from Kmart, you get rid of our governor. We're just starting a petition to get rid of some other people too. You understand? You work for us. I'm elected office myself. I work for the Republicans. Plain and simple.
Sorry, so you can have campaign in the chamber.
That wasn't a campaign. That's a promise. Point blank. We are coming after you guys by voting you guys out. If you do stupid things like this, this is what happens. If that's a campaign, it's a promise. It's a promise. You are destroying the small community we are. Did you get that for me? We also support our nurses and our doctors. So yes, try to give them some money to work on that. I'm not saying the coronavirus is not true. I think some of the numbers are a little off there. I think you guys are eager to drink it until late. I'm done with my talk.
Thank you. Rosalie Chacon. Rosalie, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Rosalie, and I am a local hairstylist here in Hollister. And, you know, this year has been financially very strapping for all of us. I don't think the people that are supporting us to be shut down understand what we have to do in order to keep our business safe. So we have to meet each client outside, check their temperature, they fill out a form. We ask them if they're sick. They come and sit in our chair that we just freshly sanitized. Everything that we use is sanitized. We are well over 6 feet apart. And we have yet to have one client come back positive with COVID. So I don't understand how people think that this is coming from a hair salon. I see when I go to Safeway, they're not cleaning the belt that everybody's putting their groceries on. They are not wiping down the keypad when we pay. Everything is clean here. Clean scissors, clean combs, everything. There is no facts, nothing to prove that this is coming from these small businesses. We've asked and asked and asked for the city council to give us statistics. We have none. Prove to us that this is where it's coming from, and we will be quiet. We will go quietly, but there is no proof. We can't financially live on what we're getting right now on unemployment. But yet you guys want to shut us down. My coworker had a neighbor who had a party. They brought in 4 porta potties. 4. And the cops were called and nobody came out to that. So what are you going to do when people are social gathering for the holidays and having more than 10 people over and they're being called on and nobody goes to do anything about it? That's the problem, not where we're working. The problem is all the people getting together, but we are being punished for other people's irresponsible behavior. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Rosen?
Good morning. I came here today because I thought that was important to say something. I'm not for this ordinance, but I'm not here because of the ordinance. I want to know what you, as a body, what do you guys consider as an emergency? We've had about 10 to 20% of students not have access to internet and aren't in school right now in this county for a year. Where was the emergency meeting for that? We have people committing suicide at rates we've never seen before. Where is the emergency meeting for that? Where is the emergency meeting for the people that are committing crimes because they have no other option right now? And we're about to put that same option on more and more people. This community was founded on kindness and grit. This community, that is the #1 thing. One of the last places that you walk around and people tell you hi. They wave to you. They wave to you when you're on country road. If you want to take that away, then you're sorely mistaken about what this community is. Community is founded on kindness. And I don't see that happening anymore. I don't see that on Facebook. I don't see that in the way people treat each other. I don't see that in the way that ordinances are being passed. I don't see that in the way that people are trying to help right now. And it's frustrating. And that's why people are losing control. That's why people are losing it. We have more and more things happening every single day. I'm not saying that this is a hoax. I'm not saying that it's a political issue. I think this is serious. But what is the science saying? I've heard science thrown out. Well, and science is empirical study based off of data. And I've sat in those chairs and I've seen the data that come through this body. And most of the time, it's not very accurate. And it's based on opinion, it's based on people's thoughts, and it's not necessarily sound science. I'm not saying that this is sound science. What I'm saying is you need to find what is the fabric of this community, and that is kindness, that is love, and that is taking people to the next level. And if an ordinance is passed to take people down and not bring people up, then you're sorely mistaken. Sorely. I appreciate you guys' time. I know I'm over time, but I have one last time. All right, well, we're going to be judged on this. You're all going to be judged on it. Way past any of this. And how you respond, and how you treat people, and how you come and show up. Because I'm an essential employee. I got to be in people's spaces every day. Education is important. I have to show up
we do have more people that want to speak.
Show up, Ignacio.
Thank
Show
you.
up, board members. We need you.
Thank you, Roy.
County as well. I'm open to any emergency meeting on education
Valerie Shady.
and helping education, because I haven't had an emergency meeting. I've asked this body for
Thank you,
emergency.
Roy. Thank you, Mr. Sims.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
45 new cases today.
Valerie, please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Valerie Sneddon, and I'm the owner of Vintage Pearl Salon. I have worked extremely hard to open my salon. There's 9 stylists, including myself, and I have 2 receptionists. We work really hard to make sure our salon stays extremely clean. You can ask every single client that walks through those doors. The protocols we have set in place is probably one of the safest places in Hollister that you can walk in that door and feel like you don't have to worry and you can actually breathe with your mask on for the time being that our clients are in there. But besides that, I want to talk about we shouldn't be fighting against each other right now. We should be working together. Yes, I understand this is a pandemic and it is scary right now, but the code enforcement should not be going around handing out fines. They should be going around and making sure businesses are compliant with being sanitary and safe, and let people support these downtown businesses. This is our livelihood. If we are not working and providing for consumers, then there is nothing. You will have nothing but homeless people struggling, and the whole town there will be nothing downtown. Everything that all the parklets, how beautiful it looks, it will be all for nothing. The restaurants need to survive. The hair salons need to survive. Any small businesses need to survive. That's what makes this world, not the big box companies. Small businesses make this country the way it is. We need to be working together, not against each other. So please do not create more issues than there needs to be. Do not vote for this, vote no for this. I'm asking you as a small business owner. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Corona. Jose Rodriguez. Jose, please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So yeah, just listening into everybody's opinions right now, and I'm not a small business owner or anything, but I do support, what the city's trying to do in order to keep us all safe, and just to steer away a little bit of the attention. What are we doing as far as our county officials reaching out to some of our federal legislators? Are we reaching out for more community funding? If we're going to shut down these businesses down, give them what they need as far as what they need to keep their employees on the payroll, because everybody's worried about Christmas coming and New Year's Eve coming and all these festivities and the rent and every other bill. Reach out to these federal legislators to say, hey, we need to keep these people home, and actually protecting their families, but we also need to make sure that they have enough money to pay off their bills that are incoming, because it's not being taken care of. everybody's worried about what the city's going to be doing, but we're not reaching out. Like, are we reaching out to Panetta? Are we reaching out to, I don't know, our senator, which I'm not even going to mention her because I feel like she's not even doing anything for us. But this is just the things that just keeps the infighting between the community. I've seen it on Facebook all the time, you know, and it's just like, we need to make sure that we're also beating up, not just beating each other's up here, because I feel like everybody is just going to be tearing each other up on Facebook and other forms of social media. So it's just my opinion, what I wanted to give here. I love this community. I want it to thrive. I love downtown Hollister, and I want to make sure that everybody's staying safe. And that's about it. Thank you.
Maria Corona? Go ahead and just lower that down to the microphone.
Oh, the microphone.
There you go.
I must say, I'm hearing impaired, and meeting is not very conducive to those with hearing impairments. So I was on Zoom, but I decided to come in person. I don't have anything much prepared, but I was trying to talk while I was on Zoom, but it didn't work. So anyhow, I just wanted to thank everybody for your service, first of all, and my condolences go out to those that have lost their lives to COVID. It's out there, and it's very, very challenging to do anything about it in terms of, you know, in terms of closing down our businesses. It's not, I don't think it's going to help. I was born and raised in Hollister, California, and it really breaks my heart to see our restaurants or small businesses being closed for a second time around. I have tried to support the businesses as much as I could, and I must say that they are probably one of the most safe places that you could be at. They take your temperature, they have gel at the tables if you're dining. If you go to the salon, they follow all the measures and what have you. So I'm hoping that the city council and perhaps maybe some businesses could get together and they can work together to come up with other options other than what this ordinance is proposing, which is, I believe, only going to harm my community more than to help it. I don't know. I don't think we have anybody is going to have a solution to this, but maybe we could come to some type of agreement. But I'm not a business owner. I'm here as just a community member. And I just do wish that you all have an open mind and don't punish our businesses for keeping open. They're following the rules as far as I could see. And I also, I know earlier somebody I think asked about data. I haven't seen any data. If there's any data out there that's linking or COVID cases to our businesses, and I'd like to see it. I think, you know, most of it from what I've read is coming from social gatherings, not necessarily our businesses. So again, I reiterate, I'm hoping that everybody can work together to come up with a different solution other than with your ordinance. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Barcelos.
Hi, can you hear me?
Please go ahead.
You can hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
So yes, Kevin Barcelos from Hollister. This sucks. You know, it sucks that we're in a once in a century pandemic. It sucks that the national response has been shambolic at best. It sucks that we are kind of alone in the industrialized world and not coming up with a coherent strategy that actually supports businesses and employees, et cetera, while they do the right thing for the rest of the community and the health of their community. I also want to just send my condolences to the Holloway family and just remind everybody that there is a business that has been shut down within the last few days. may not open again, and that's Cozy Cup. And all the small business owners who came up spitting their righteous indignation, not a single one of them acknowledged the loss to our community, to the small business community in Hollister, and the community at large that represents. And again, I just want to make sure that the Holloway family knows that we're thinking about them at this point. The other thing that comes to mind is that when I read the article about the situation at Payne's and the fact that we had no enforcement mechanism, was utter shock that that was the case. Like, in what world does it make any sense that we have code enforcement, we have codes for businesses that they need to comply to, and have no ability to actually force them to comply? It makes no sense. And adding that ability at this point during a once in a century pandemic makes perfect sense. And I would take the mayor at his word. You know, politically, it would make no sense to be going around town shutting down dozens of businesses, that this will be kind of used on an exception basis where required for situations like Payne's, where they're specifically thumbing their nose at the city, the state, and the community. And I would urge the council to approve this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine Infantino. Christine, please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
You can, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Yeah, my name is Christine Infantino. I'm a small business owner here in Hollister. This month marks my 10-year anniversary of having my gym here in town. During these past 10 years, I've embraced this community and every opportunity to support it, every school fundraiser, downtown event, community youth sports, you name it, the list goes on. I never, ever, ever said no. I always supported. Tonight, I'm pleading that you reconsider and pay it forward and do not pass this new order. In the first phases of the shutdowns, I followed everything to a perfect T and watched my business slip away. Took a business loan to make some changes, canceled my personal health insurance, still not insured, so that I could pay operating expenses. Following everything perfectly doesn't support my business model, and either it'll be, you know, the enforcement or the forcement, I should say, to close, or just lack of being able to continue to operate. So please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacqueline Rosales. Heather Casara.
Hey y'all, can you hear me?
You can, please go ahead.
All right. Y'all are probably sick of hearing my voice. I talked at the county last week, but I just want to reiterate the fact that, you know, I've been here most of my life, been doing hair. We're the safest. I can speak for all my friends that do hair. Honestly, like, there's nothing safer. It breaks my heart to see my business owner friends that own restaurants, the waitresses, waiters, everybody. Who's going to pay these people's bills? Who's going to buy their kids Christmas gifts? Like, there's nothing that you can do right now. There's no help out there. I didn't get a loan. I don't know how many other people didn't. I can't live on $167 a week. I sure as heck know that nobody else can. Like I said, I don't want to sound insensitive. We're not insensitive. We just want to pay our bills, feed our kids, and move on. We don't want help from anybody. We're very independent. It breaks my heart that it's come to this. I'm loved my community. Right now, I'm a little questionable on it. Like, I feel like y'all should have our back. Like, I don't understand why there's any question about it. Like, you're putting people against each other. You're dividing it. It's not right. I don't agree with it. And you know what? At the end of the day, you have to live with yourself, not me. Thank you, Honor. Like,
You're the only one who's been, stepping up for us, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Please do the right thing, y'all. Like, this is just beyond ridiculous. We're the safest place. There's so many people who put thousands of dollars into their facilities to make it safe. It's not coming from us. It's coming from all those other people gathering. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Jonathan Fuller.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. My name is Jonathan Swilla. I'm one of the co-owners of Poor Decisions Tap Room. First off, thank you, council members, for letting us speak tonight. Appreciate the new council members who have to make a very tough decision on their first day. But I want to address some people first. First off, what's up, all you Beer 11 fools? Thank you to the community members that have been coming out and supporting Poor Decisions Tap Room and all the other small businesses downtown. We thank you so much for it because we've invested, we've struggled, we've gone through this crazy, crazy time, and it wouldn't be without you guys that we could do it. So you're our tried and true people, and we're going to stick by you. Another group that needs to be addressed, the people that have lost loved ones. We are here with you too. We understand that. That's why we have put practices into place. That's why we've done leaps and bounds to, sanitize and clean and put up barricades and do everything to try and do our part. And we sympathize with the fact that you have lost loved ones. I myself lost my grandfather in October to COVID, and I understand that it's real. And the one thing I know he would want is for me to continue on with my dream, as well as many of the other business owners that have put their heart and souls into each and every one of their establishments. But for the council members that are sitting here tonight, you have to understand the point of frustration that we're at. Our backs are up against the corner, and we don't have many options at this point. Many of us are facing complete shutdowns. Many of us are going to get to the point where we're going to lose our entire staff, which hurts us. It pains me to know that in a couple weeks, I might not be able to employ the people that I love so much, that work so hard for my dream and for their dreams too. And when you think about the decision you're making tonight in this city, it is not tied to just Hollister. It's tied to San Joaquin County and the sector that we're in. And if that sector does not open up, even though Hollister is doing its best, and we all get on the right foot and try and help each other out, we're tied to them. And you have to continue to make that decision without an arbitrary, subjective opinion to keep shutting businesses down if we decide that we need to open up. But the last thing I want to address is our community and everyone that's listening tonight. We need to start loving each other, and tensions are high, and you can hear that in this meeting tonight. Everyone needs to start loving each other. We need to start acting as a community together and figure out ways. And if you want to come down to Poor Decisions Tap Room tomorrow and you want to talk about solutions, we're going to start implementing solutions to get ourselves out of this hump that we're in right now, because there are things that we can do. There are QR codes, contactless menus, there's online solutions. And if you want help, come down and talk to me and my partner, Nick. We'll be there tomorrow. We'll help you develop things that will help us get into a safer zone. But we have to do it together, and we have to understand that shutting businesses down and threatening to pull licenses is just going to scare people, and it's going to make them feel like they only have one option, and that's to go out in a flame of glory. And you're going to start seeing it, and people are going to have to do it at some point, because it's going to last more than probably the 28th. I think that's when we come off, right? We're talking possibly months. And I know I can't last months the way this is working right now. I stopped by my shop today. There's no one in there. And that's a sad fact, because Thursday night is usually a fun night. And downtown has put in a lot of work to make sure that it stays fun down here. So please reconsider your decision and make the right choice for everyone in this community. We can do this together, and I have faith.
Thank you, Jonathan. John Correa.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Correa, and I've been in this community for over 40 years now. things. And to me, the most important thing is about people that need jobs. Because that's how they can support their families. That's small business employs more than half of the population. And all those people, we're kicking them out on the streets because restaurants can be open, small business can be open, salons, and it's a ripple effect because it affects the people that serve us also. It's not just the restaurants, the salons, there's people that serve the restaurants and everything. So, well, my thing is the pressure and all these, send the code enforcement, and these people, send those people. It put a lot of pressure on my employees and myself, so we decided to close. And that's thanks to the mayor, Mr. Ignacio, because he cannot run a restaurant. He thinks he has to take on the other restaurants. And Corsica, little restaurants, up and down the street here. The city wanted to open up downtown to bring more businesses, and then turn around and close. How are they going to survive? They're just open. They're just pretty much putting out their business. So you guys have to come up with a solution. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Nathan Ford. Nathan, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
You can, please go ahead.
Yes, okay. Hi, I'm a small business owner in town also. And the one thing I've kind of heard over and over and over again, I think from both sides, is people talking about statistics. So New York just released its statistics, and it's got the contact tracing, and it's got 46,000 data points in it. And it says exactly where this thing has been spreading. So this just came out. It's on the official website of Governor Andrew M. Cuomo. And I just want to say, like, hair and personal care is 0.14. That's where they lie in, spreading this. Gyms is 0.06. Okay, even restaurants is 1.43. So there are the statistics. It's not that we don't have any. We have statistics. Restaurants, gyms, hair places, the people that are talking in this meeting, that is not where this thing is being spread by. These are very, very low numbers, and that's in a major city. We're a small city. So I just think, we can't keep saying there's no statistics, that we don't know what's going on. We have the statistics. We know that the small businesses is not a major cause of the spread. So going after them, attacking them, it's really hurtful to me as a business owner. And it's kind of outrageous because the thing is, we keep talking about people supporting small businesses, but small businesses support people. And that's how it works. And that's how America works. It's how it's always worked. If a business is not supporting the community, then it goes out of business. But now we're talking about taking businesses that provide needs for this community, and we're talking about, shutting them down and forcing them. But really, you're hurting the people in this town. And there's more than just, physical things to this pandemic. There's lots of, the mental side to it. And I work with lots of kids, and these kids are really hurting right now. And, I've got a son who's a senior in high school. He's not going to go to prom. He's not going to go to homecoming. He's having a lot of things taken from him. A lot of these kids are really, really sacrificing. And I really don't hear anybody caring much about them and what they're going through, and I own a martial arts studio, and I've got kids who have always been healthy that I'm watching now, getting to be overweight and having weight issues. And you know, kids that are kind of breaking mentally. And we got to be really, really careful what we're doing and who we're attacking. It's really easy. Okay, thank you.
And with that, we have no more speakers and no more hands raised. Christine.
Thank you.
Say, Elia would like to speak to you. Good evening, and I want to, if you know who I am, you know that the mayor and I don't always see eye to eye. We definitely see eye to eye on this, and this has been going on for months. Seniors during the Vietnam War, their senior trip is going to Vietnam. It's appalling that we try to compare that to what's going on today. We had this pandemic 100 years ago, and no one knew how to deal with it then. This is what they tried. They tried isolation and they tried face masks. Now we have it. And what else do we have? We have the internet where people start Googling and become legal scholars. They become entomologists. They become scientists. This ordinance here has absolutely nothing to do with closing down a business. 90% plus, high 90% of the people that called in and came up to speak were stating that you're going to shut businesses down. One person who claims to he just opened up a new theater place. I can't even know what it's called, Tap something. He said he drove by and he was disappointed that no one was there. No one is supposed to be there because all businesses have been closed by order of the state of California. People are not abiding by that. The numbers are high. A really nice, great gentleman, Frank Calloway, died just yesterday. It's my understanding that he contracted it there at the restaurant. There are statistics that the COVID virus is being contracted or it's getting passed along in restaurants. This has absolutely nothing to do with closing down businesses. This ordinance is to enforce because there are people who continue to refuse to close the doors, snub their noses and throw their middle finger at you, and continue to berate both the county health department, and city council today for coming up with this. They are threatening sending to both staff and staff management because people are doing their jobs. I request that you do your job because if these people who say, let us do the decision, let me decide that I can wear a mask where I cannot. Obviously, these people cannot because they're gathering. They're having 300 guest weddings. They're having quinceañeras. They're having large parties. And what else can you do? You're backed up to something. Thank you. We have more speakers now in the audience and on Zoom. So I'm going to continue. Julio Rodriguez. Julio, please go ahead.
Hello. Mic check one. You guys hear me?
You can. Go ahead.
Perfect. Okay. I just wanted to share some concerns with this ordinance as well. According to the LA, only 4% of the COVID-19 was traced to the outdoor dining. So that's only 4%. And I'm just kind of concerned with the code enforcement because we all know there are very specific businesses that are breaking the rules. And I think we all know who those businesses are. We all know. And I think it's important that we don't penalize people who are following the rules and the people who are really trying to make a living here. And that's just my concern. with passing this ordinance. I just want to make sure that we are making decisions that are data driven and to make sure that we're not going to have unintended results. I mean, if we look at some other cities, city of New Mexico, there were majority of their cases actually came from big box stores. And I think that is something that we really need to look at and to be proactive and to make sure that, some of these like Target they are following these rules, and Safeway, a lot of people go in and out. So we have to make sure and be proactive to make sure that they are following those capacity. The state mandated them. Just wanted to let that out. I also would like to thank the city council and thank the county for the downtown. It looks great. I also like to give my condolences to the families who have lost their loved ones due to COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you. Vince Bainter.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the audience. Thank you for being new blood on the board. Thank you for being new blood on the board that we definitely need. Thank you.
Please wear your mask correctly.
It's really hard to come in after a wannabe politician, so excuse me. She's throwing me, I'm probably on Facebook. But thank you to Otter for taking my phone call. I don't go to these things. I'm not a career person that comes to these meetings every week. But I just want to state, I was in pain Saturday. It was very professionally 6 feet apart from everybody. You're 6 feet apart from everybody. You are more closer to people going into Target, going into other big businesses, than going into places like that have spent the money to make it right, along with some other establishments. And just another thing that comes to mind, I know Frank, and if Frank was here, he'd be supporting the business owners. And he did not get sick from the restaurant. Thank you for your time. Get your mask up correctly too there.
My mask is on correctly. Go
Just
away.
take that
Goodbye.
place. Derek Edwards.
Can you hear me?
We can, please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to keep it short. I'm not a business owner. I'm a citizen in this area, and I have been watching over time in my own personal life and others around me that these lockdowns, how they've been affecting not only my daughter, but the business owners I have around me. And they are trying to keep families going, and they're trying to keep their employees above water. Besides the fact that this pandemic itself is sweeping our nation and affecting us all in our health and in our own livelihoods, for the city, the state to come and say we need to shut down these businesses that are basically keeping some of us, the only thing that's keeping us sane is giving us something to do, and you're trying to take that away from us. I know a lot of people here, as they've all said, what they're doing to keep everything sanitized, clean, safe, but it seems right now like we're trading our freedoms for more safety. And once we trade our freedoms for that safety, what are the chances of you giving us that back? And like one gentleman said before, you all worked for us. We all voted for you to be here. Well, I didn't, but somebody did. And you are to serve what the people are saying. I've listened to this whole thing, and it seems like more people are talking about wanting to keep their businesses open for whatever reason than people saying not. We all throw out statistics. We can find statistics in every corner of this earth. But at the end of the day, you're messing with people's livelihoods, and the people that are affected the most are the young children in our lives. And what's sad is, again, I'll say it again, none of you are considering our children. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I have no more speakers. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any comments or from the council?
Mayor Velazquez, this is Tim Runyon.
Go ahead, sir. Yes, Mr. Burns, go ahead.
So, I guess I don't know quite where to begin, so I'm just gonna lead off with a couple things. I've heard what folks have said. I'm appreciative of the fact that we've had a great turnout and a very robust conversation. I'm a little concerned that this emergency meeting had to happen so quickly. I understand the sense of urgency, but I'm also concerned that with the potential impact that I don't know that it could not have happened on Friday night. I don't know that what I've heard so far is so urgent that it could not have been kicked to the money council agenda, or possibly even just make tonight's meeting start at 6:30 or so to give some of those people that may be potentially impacted by this the opportunity to participate in the process. I'm not convinced many people even knew this meeting was going on based on the quick, rapid point that it evolved. And so I wanted to express my concerns there. I do have some other comments I will reserve to as we move forward to figure out if we're going to pass this or not. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from council?
I have a few.
Go ahead.
Okay. One, some of the speakers, I couldn't hear what they were saying. They were muffled and didn't get names and things. But the ones that I could hear and what was being said is heartbreaking. This decision will affect lives. It'll affect our community. I have looked at the numbers from our community, and I'm not taking light. This is a very serious virus, and I understand that. But how can we sit there and say that this virus is being spread because of hair salons, gyms, restaurants, when the evidence, our own evidence, says only 4%. 4% of the cases have been traced back to small businesses, whatever you want to say, the gyms, the restaurants, and the hair salons, the nail salons. They are all clean. And like somebody talked about today, I go into Safeway, it's packed. There's people walking all over the place. There's people standing in line to get their medication. There's people doing this, there's people doing that. I sat there and watched a woman touch every apple that was there. She didn't have gloves on. You think I picked up an apple? No. This is where it's coming from. One of the women that was on here, a nurse, I think she said she was, this is airborne. Hey, you could be sitting in a parking lot and somebody walk by and sneeze. They could be 30 feet away and you're going to get the virus. The major part of our surge is coming from people who want to be with their families. They want to see their kids. They want to see their parents. They want to see their grandparents. They want to see their grandkids. They want to have a life. And for 9 months, we have not had a life. We are locked in our homes. I retired from my job because I couldn't do my job anymore because there's no kids at the school. I'm not sitting in a parking lot counting cars for 7 hours a day. And yes, I do still get a paycheck. I'm a lucky one. But there's people out there that aren't this lucky. You got the holidays. That's one of the biggest things that's coming right now. Kids aren't going to get their presents. Parents are upset because they can't give their kids what they want. I don't understand why this meeting happened, why we're doing this now. If, like you said, all the businesses are complying, just a couple. We don't need an ordinance to sit there and go, okay, well, we've already given you a chance. Now you don't do what we want. We're gonna pull your license. You'll never have a job again. Just leave California, go somewhere else. Because that's what we're gonna be doing. I can't in good conscience, no, I won't in good conscience vote for this ordinance. This ordinance is the worst thing that has ever been brought in front of me in the 2 years that I've been on this council. I will not ever be a part of killing Hollister. I'm done.
Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
I've got quite a bit to say, and I'm not that organized, so please bear with me, guys. First off, I just want to thank everybody that came and spoke tonight. I haven't seen this big of a turnout for a meeting, even if it's a special meeting, in quite some time. So thank everybody that came out. You're either watching or took the time to speak or come down. It's much appreciated. I want to say thank you for wearing your mask and keeping our staff safe tonight. That's also very much appreciated. And then last but certainly not least, I want to extend my most sincerest condolences to Mr. Halele's family, his wife, and his son. Everyone knows that he is a pillar of our business community here, and the entire community mourns with you tonight. So deepest condolences to you and your family. Some things that I wanted to point out about that I was taking notes on was that there's an appeal process that comes with this. I think somebody said we're going to yank business licenses, but that's not true. You can actually appeal the process if it comes to that point. This is going to be revisited in 45 days, is what I'm told. Mr. City Manager, Mr. City Attorney, if that's true, or correct me if I'm wrong. I like what Marcy said about if you really want to support local, we need to shop local. Right now, we need to shop local and we need to support them. Miss Vintage Pearl, I'm so sorry I forgot your name, but I like what you said about working together to find solutions. I think that right now, us being divided on this issue that is so politicized and fighting with one another, it's taking away valuable time that we can be working together to come up with solutions, lobbying our state, federal officials. I brought this up to another local elected official the other day. That's what we really should be looking at, is how are we going to cover people's rent, provide them food, pay their electricity, get them some more grants. That's what we really should be looking at. I also wanted to point out that people pointed out several times that the real issue is gatherings at home, and this ordinance does speak to that as well. So again, it's not something we want to pursue, but it's something that we have at least a tool to utilize if and when it's needed. Oh, I like what the gentleman from Port Citizens said about the San Joaquin Valley region. I completely agree with you. I think a lot of local officials do, and residences. And I'll be honest with you, if our numbers were lower here and our hospitals were not as impacted as they were, I would be the first one to stand up and to stand aside with what the people are requesting tonight. But that just is not the case at this point. Ms. Salinas, I want to thank you for your bravery, for you coming forward, and for you pointing out that this is not us wanting to close businesses. In fact, you've got a new council members up here, and 3 of us are business owners. Just as was pointed out by one of the speakers earlier, my business has been shut down, completely shut down, and my family has been financially impacted since the very beginning of COVID. So for people to say that we're anti-business or to spread the narrative that we are trying to kill businesses, I think it's very misleading, and it's just not true. I'll be honest with you. The reason this ordinance really came about, let's be honest, is that there were a couple of businesses and business owners that are actively calling for defiance, for people that are feeding people indoors. They're not social distancing. They're not wearing masks. There's sports competitions that went on over the weekend. It's it's been very risky, I would say, to say the least. And that's why we found out we didn't have a tool to be able to enforce anything. I, for one, and I'm hearing this over and over now, that COVID is real. People are saying COVID is real. Okay, I believe that COVID's real. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Mr. Kevin Barcelos said it sucks. And I think everybody is making sacrifices, and it does suck because we are in such a horrible position. But the fact of the matter, like the registered nurse that spoke earlier said, is that our hospital and the surrounding hospitals are at the maximum capacity. Our numbers have never, ever been this high. We had another death reported just moments ago. And that's very concerning. That really is very concerning to me. After speaking to the city manager, the city attorney, it's my understanding that our position always is to educate the public. We're going to provide masks, give as much leniency as possible. And that goes to show, because we've only written just a few mask ordinance violations, okay? So it's not like we're gonna go around and take abuse of this power, but we do have to have some type of enforcement for rules that are being set by not only the county and the state, especially when I spoke to other elected officials in the area, and they're saying the same thing as us, that they feel like they're in a bad position, and they do feel like the county's not supporting them and enforcing the rules that they themselves set forth. I honestly have so much faith in our community. I know that we can promote safe operations of businesses and of gatherings. And if we do this, then we can beat this thing in no time, but we're not going to get there until we have some type of compliance and some rules and regulations in place, if and when it's needed. Thank you so much again for everybody and for allowing me your time.
Thank you. Any other comments, Council?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Perez.
It's been quite a fun night, or interesting night tonight. This is unprecedented times. And people are dying. My family's been affected, your family's been affected. I get it. And I only have like 6 pages of notes. So I'm just going to go over everything that everyone went over. So I'm going to kind of cut to the chase. So to me, what it comes down to, it's coming down to people are saying that we're closing businesses. Well, actually, it's businesses that are not complying to state rules, mandates, requests, laws, whatever you want to call them. They're not complying. I think that it's a question about how we enforce this. I don't think that the city that has adequate staff to support this. I don't think the county has adequate staff to support this, or the city of San Juan. But I think if we come together, we can actually, I think it was Mike Hogue that was saying, let's get creative. Well, you know, I was quite surprised also that we are having an emergency meeting. First of all, because it's my first meeting, but I think that, you know what, it might have been a better way to go if we could have sat down with our local officials. Well, actually, I asked city manager if we could, after the county supervisors are seated, if we could have a meeting together to come together to figure out what's the best way to do this. Why should we put an ordinance in place or rules in place that we can't even enforce? And how can we do that together? Because in all actuality, this is not just about you. This is not about me. This is about us. And you know what? The only way we're going to get through this is working together. And you know what? It sucks. But put on a mask. I mean, I had to go wipe my nose 3 times tonight. It sucks. I get it. I get it. You know? We have the right to the freedom of speech. We have the right to bear arms. You have the right to be kind. And also, you have the right to remain silent. So there is rules that we need to have in place. There's ordinances, there's laws. I think though it's in these times, it's not about coming down with a hammer. It's about coming down with conversation and talking. This is the way, only way we're going to get through this. And you know what? At the same time, there's going to be those people that don't want to wear masks. So you know what? Give them a ticket. And I mean, is that really going to work? Not really. But you know, is it inflame them more? Okay. What are some of these answers? You know what? You even have a business that doesn't want to. You know, actually, just to be, I'm going to be honest. It's like one of the businesses would not listen to what the city was saying, but then they'll listen to somebody else. That tells me the lack of respect we have for city officials. Can you blame them? How? And I ask, this is addressed to us here in this council, and whether you're in the seat now or in the past, it's like, how have we really represented our community with leadership? Are we doing it now? Am I doing it now? Well, I think that's the way to resolve this whole situation, is by coming together, being creative, and you know what? You gotta be safe. You gotta be safe. And we gotta make some money. Me, I'm a small business owner. I have 0 overhead, so I'm in a different category. But it's like, I have 0 income. I plan for it. So does everybody plan for it? Probably not. Does that mean that they don't count? No. So that's just a few of my thoughts. As far as quick decisions, I'm not good at quick decisions, because if I make a quick decision, I want to put a new truck again. I don't want another payment. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Press. I'll give my comments now. I think many of you had made the point of how come Target, how come Safeway, how come all these people can ignore the rules? Very simple. We can't enforce them. We can't enforce them. We don't have rules in place here at the city that can enforce them. The county can, the state can, but we can't. So this is not about shutting down our local businesses. We've tried everything we can here locally to make sure our local businesses could survive. We moved fast early on to get our businesses out on the street, anything and everything we could be doing to try to save them. Marcy made a great point. You know, what are we doing to support them? How many people are going out buying the takeout from these restaurants and some of the other businesses? We can do a lot of things. But we're in trouble. We're in trouble if we can't enforce our own rules. As Mr. Perez pointed out, it's great that another agency outside came in, but why didn't that restaurant work with us directly? Why did they thumb their nose at us? Why were they holding large parties in their facilities indoor? Are we not important to them? Are their guests not important? Are our residents not important? I can remember February 2nd because it changed my life, not because it was the Super Bowl, because I got the call of the first 2 cases of COVID were here in our town. I think there was 12 cases in the entire country at the time. And we moved quickly here to try to get organized for it and work together to prepare for it. But you know what? The federal government blew it. Blew it. Simple as that. They should have got the testing ready. They should have all these other resources we all need in our communities ready to fight this virus. And we could have finished this virus months ago. Months ago. We shouldn't be facing with it. New Zealand's done. Australia's done. They're back to normal. Most countries, not most countries, a lot of countries are back to normal now. And here we are still talking about it because it was a hoax. It was not deadly. It was going to go away after the election. Well, now it's bigger than ever. And quite frankly, the state didn't do a good job either. I'm not a big fan of what the state has done. You guys know that. I've made this clear many of times. Had I had the ability to do things, it would have been much different than what it was. Much different. But here we are, and we got a problem. We got a problem. I followed these numbers from the very beginning. When this first started happening, tracking the numbers, trying to understand where we're at, where we're going. We originally did a great job here locally. I can remember other agencies calling us and saying, how are you guys doing this? How are you keeping those numbers down? We were working together to make things better in our community. I can remember plans we were doing to keep those numbers down. And then all of a sudden, they started getting worse. And I remember going out to the public and saying, if we work together, we keep these numbers down, especially here in the hospital, we can make it through this whole episode, this pandemic, and keep most things open. All we needed to do is face covers, social distance, do the right things. Well, it didn't take long before that was thrown out the window. And it didn't take long for me to start seeing where we're going with these numbers. You know, several weeks ago when I told people we're going to hit 100, people thought, that's impossible. We're not going to hit 100. But I knew we were because I was tracking those numbers. And then I told people we're going to hit 200. People said, that's not going to happen. Impossible. I said, it's going to happen. Then it was 300. This week, it's going to be 400. We'll see 500. We had 4 people die this week. I remember people making the argument, people aren't dying, it's not a big deal. They're dying. They're dying. And we're going to see a case a day pretty soon of somebody dying. Our hospital is 100% capacity. I didn't agree about the San Joaquin, but when I saw our numbers at the hospital, I knew we had a big problem in our community. And I knew more people are going to be dying because I saw those numbers coming. And yet, we still have people going around telling businesses to ignore the rules, don't wear face covers because it's not a big deal. I'm telling you guys, it's a big deal. We can do things together. We can change this, but we got a problem right now. And without the ability to control that problem, this problem's gonna get much worse on us. Do I want to shut down any business? Absolutely not. Do I think some businesses that are shut down should be shut down? Nope. But right now in our community, if we don't pull this together and realize it's not a joke, we're going to lose absolute control. Absolute control. I've had to deal with the people calling me that thought it was a joke. And then they call me back to tell me, where do they get tested? Then they call me back to find out if there's another hospital they can go to. Then they call me to tell me their loved one's dying. What can I do for them? I've had these calls many, many, many of times. And then I hear somebody say, face covers are stupid. We don't need to close our business. We can have 100 people in here together dancing, having a good old time. It is sad that we can get to the point of caring about money more than lives. One person made a comment about, I don't know what it feels like to be closed. I do. My business has been closed since March 14th. It won't be open until probably June. Am I losing money? Oh yeah, I'm losing money. I'm losing a hell of a lot of money. Several $100,000 to be exact. So don't come and say, I don't know what it looks like. I don't feel it. I do feel it. My employees aren't working that were working there. Every single weekend, they're all enjoying what they were doing. We all understand. We all get it. We're all in this together. But it's unfortunate that sometimes people want to ignore the rules and continue down this path. we shouldn't have to have any rules. We should be all working together. We should all be wearing those face covers, social distancing, washing our hands, doing what's right. But unfortunately, some are not. Some businesses think it's a joke. We're in trouble. We need something here at the city that can control some of those. Do we want to shut them down, pull their license? No. But we want them to know if they continue down that path, we can do it. Simple as that. It's not about shutting down the salons and everything. They're already shut down, folks. The governor has shut those down. We're not making that decision tonight. The only thing we're talking about tonight is making sure when one of those businesses that wants to have a party of several hundred people indoors, they know we're not going to stand for it. When one of those businesses that wants to have overcapacity in their facilities, we can do something about it. Tonight, we're deciding if we want control of this virus or we're going to let it go out of control. It would be great to wait for a few more weeks and buy a lot of time and talk about it in January, February. It's going to be 500 by that point. We all need to do this together. Stop the politics of all of this and work as one, as a community, like we did originally when people were calling us asking, how are we doing it? There's nothing, all of us want more to see those businesses open downtown again and everywhere else. But we don't control that. We don't control that. The state does. As hard as that is, it is the governor. He makes that decision. I can respect that. I don't agree with him all the time, but I can't imagine what he has to go through as far as this information and doing what's right. A lot of people are dying, folks. A lot of people. A lot of people are getting sick. We need to do something, stop ignoring this, and do everything we can to get our businesses open or at least support them. All these restaurants, we should be taking out every week. My family does 3 times a week. You own a gym, we shouldn't be canceling the memberships. We never canceled ours. I can't go, I won't go. But guess what? I'm not going to cancel my membership because I know I need to support them. That's what we're going to do to survive this pandemic, support our own businesses. But we don't do it by saying, don't wear a face cover because it's stupid. We don't do that because you're taking the chance of killing someone else. I don't want that on my hands, and none of us should. The conversation should never again be about how dumb face covers are, or these rules are all a hoax, or we over after the election. We're living a strange life, strange life. We'll talk about this for years and years and years to come. This is once in 4 or 5 generations, folks. We need to pull it together, do what's right. Hopefully, we never have this conversation about enforcing rules again. Hopefully, never does somebody come in and say, I can come in without a face cover because I have that right to do that and get other people sick. Should never happen. We should be doing everything we can to protect each other. With that, is there a motion? I will make the motion on this item to pass this ordinance. Is there a second?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'll second. I do not have the number in front of me.
What number? I'm sorry, sir.
The ordinance number, is there an ordinance number?
Item A1.
I believe it is 1200, but I would have to double check.
There's a motion and a second for item A1. We'll do a roll call vote. I'm sorry, who'd you call first?
Nay.
Councilmember Brazil,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Spencer,
No.
Councilmember Tim Burns,
No.
Mayor Velazquez.
Yes.
It's a 3-2 vote, and it does not pass.
Thank you. Tonight, I'd like to ask the council if we can adjourn this meeting in memory of the Cozy Cup owner and icon of our community, Frank Hallier. If we could have a motion to adjourn in his memory.
I'll
I'll make that motion.
to adjourn in his memory, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for that.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Good night, and thank you for being involved.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
And that was